Good early morning, everybody. It's 2:37 a.m., September 27, 2023. This beautiful angel is watching over you and is painted by Linda Russell. She's the artist, and it's entitled Spirit Angel. I'm on a mailing list, and I received an email from Dr. Eric Karlstrom on September 25. But before I get into it, please hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow, get the message out there. Lately, there are a couple of videos that I've posted, and even though I always click on my videos to give it a thumbs up, but there was one recently that as soon as I posted it, somebody must have completely thumbed it down to 50%, which is crazy. It was only up for a few minutes. So somebody who's watching the channel, I mean, you know who it could be. It could be several people. It could even be my neighbors. Automatically thumb it down. Some of the ones that they automatically thumb down are when I post evidence, like the tearing up of my lawn. But anyway, so his email starts off as follows: what is the relevance of Obama, of his DEATH panels? I'm not going to say the word, or I should just say use the word unalive, because it appears to get through YouTube. What is the relevance of Obama's unalive panels to all this organized stalking, electronic torture, mayhem, pain, suffering, and devastation? Sabrina Wallace says. Now, I have to tell you, Sabrina Wallace is quite brilliant, very quirky. She's on Odyssey, on the Odyssey channel, and her Odyssey channel is called Synergy, like it's SINERGY, a PSINEGY, like sign, the mathematical sign. Sabrina Wallace says the DEATH panel databases select for the too old. Like if you're too old, I don't know what too old means. I mean, for a 20-year-old, 40-year-olds are too old. B, the unjabbed. Now, I mean, I don't know how he has a panel like this with the unjabbed when the jabby wabby wasn't until after he was no longer president, but nevertheless, it's here. C, undeliverable. I don't know what that means. We can conjure up an idea of what that could possibly mean. D, quote unquote, unveiled. Those who know too much. What does that mean? Too much of what? Those infected with the fungus Candida include those who are A, too fat, B, eating fast food, C, weak veins, D, low bone density. The IRS database targets A, political opposition, B, people we don't like type, and C, groups of people. Imagine that. Imagine the IRS having a database of people they don't like. Oh my goodness, if I had a database of people I don't like, I don't know. I mean, there'd be quite a few on there. Quite a few. I probably have, I mean, I easily could have 50. There could easily be 50 people on my list of people I don't like. In fact, it could possibly be more, but I don't think about the people that I don't like. It doesn't pay. The narcissists, though, they kind of focus on the people they don't like all day long, which is why this program is created. So the question is, who is doing this? Sabrina says, who's doing all of this? Medical, the sheriff, police, lawfare. I'm going to say that's probably lawyers. The main military, paramilitary, Black Project's military, geospatial and Silicon Valley with net-centric warfare and mosaic warfare with cognitive technology. Threat warning system, which is CT2WS, using a headset and an EEG to watch you through your veins and arteries anytime, anywhere in the world, with sensors, open system architecture, SOSA, on the Global Information Grid, GIG. So if someone tells you that the aura isn't real, just laugh at them and say, quote, "It is to ISR, Information Surveillance and Reconnaissance, the biggest companies in the world, Boeing, Raytheon, and the rest of them." For those of you who don't know what the aura is the energy field around your body. Some people have the ability to actually see the aura around an individual, and with practice, you too can. But she demonstrates on Odyssey how you can activate the aura and make the hair on your arms stand up. Now, if I had hair on my arms, I'm sure I could make them stand up, but I generally don't have hair on my arms. So, but she has a lot of hair on her arms, and she demonstrates how, with the use of her energy field, she can at will get the hair on her arms to stand up. So this is really interesting, folks. There is a DEATH list. The IRS has one. And that there is an EEG to watch you through your veins and arteries anytime. I wonder if that's why that covert surgical procedure was performed on the vein on my leg under my knee, May 20th, 2020. I wonder. So, there are many further insights of Sabrina Wallace here, and she has a video called "Our Bodies Are Biohacked Via Electronic Warfare." Sabrina Wallace explains it, August 2023 video. So I'm going to click on it here. And this is at Dr. Eric Karlstrom's website, and I'll show you the website. Okay, so I have posted this previously, and I can post a link to it. I'd rather just show you so that you can see it. And I'm going to pull up her video. So she's got her video here. I have to warn you that my audio is really bad. My laptop is going. I'm going to have to buy a new one. Let's scroll down here, folks. I watch on YouTube. Oh, somebody must have posted this to YouTube. So 1 second. Let's go to YouTube. Let me see.
Simplest explanation, tailored specifically for those of you from radio frequency, information technology. In other words, the people that for the last year and a half I've been bitching at, going, how do you guys not know, and why aren't you telling other people what the COVID really is? It's a cyber physical backbone. What's that? What's telepathy? Here we go. What's the aura? Here we go. You have no idea. You, whoever you are, in information technology, radio frequency, computer networking, code nerds with Python, you guys, I grew up with a bunch of you, and all my life, you never believed in any of that stuff. Chakras, like behind me over here, that's foo-foo and woo-woo, and you're focused on what? Routing radio frequency through the human body. Through the human body. through the human body since 1995. So you have to understand initially that for me, after being targeted with electronic torture and not knowing about the electronic warfare side at all until 2019, going down to the post office, and they said, you're in the new 6G. And I happened to hold a job a long time ago. And this time, I'm going to show you why this is such an issue for certain people, because they're like, don't fuck with her because she does know. Yeah, High Speed Access Corporation, before it was sold to Charter Communications, the Network Operations Center with 3 layers of security going underground, was in Louisville, Kentucky. The second Cisco-certified network professional was who got off the plane with Waz and the rest of them and when I was 19 years old. And I walked over in the knock to say hello to this gentleman who ran our network operations center. And then I went back up to Wisconsin as a field operations technician. I was one of 2 people to change the state of Wisconsin from dial-up to broadband. The state. So Madison, which was DOCSIS, because it's a big city, Milwaukee and Green Bay, Time Warner, DOCSIS, throwaway modems, whatever. But for the smaller towns, I was positioned in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Rice Lake was another plant that I was responsible for. Those people in smaller communities had to be changed over with the cable plant of the copper and the fiber and all the utilities for water and everything else. And all of that is plant architecture that radio frequency people, linemen, plant engineers know all about. Okay? Now, do you know about NMAPs? Do you know about the PRISM system with the National Security Agency? Do you know about all the secret data links we use with AT&T and our Stingray and Dirtbox for local police? Computer networking, radio frequency. My job was to tell the cable guys who were doing the fittings and whatnot out on the pole or in the home what to do, because I was in control of the cable modem in the head end on the back end. Okay? So, that's all back in 2001. At the same time, I was teaching people meditation, healing touch, and the biofield. Okay? On my off time, while working at Charter, teaching people, this is a body part. Body part. And then I get up here in front of people and I go, show me your biofield. And they go, that's impossible. And I said, no, it's a body part. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my lighting here so you can see it. And then I stand up and I'm like, make your hair stand on end. It's called piloerection. It's the sympathetic nervous system. Apologies for calling it parasympathetic. That's different. That's digestion. Well, come on. Let's see it. Let me move my arms around. Nothing happens. Yeah. Okay, 1. Roll your shoulders forward if you've been sitting. 2. And if I put some effort into it, shield. That's your biofield. Which is why those of you that still don't get it, how's your phone work? Your cell phone, tell me how it works. This was the other bitchiness that I got from people over and over again. They're like, well, all you're doing is saying, how does your phone work? No, I'm trying to draw your attention to literal tech metrics. I don't know where my phone went. So that you understand how easy it is to log into you and make a change. So, how did we get to this point where all these good people in radio frequency, etc., that they don't know shit about what we're actually doing in the human body? And in order to explain all of this, I've had to make a gazillion signs. I've had to come back out here over and over again. And I've been trying to figure out why it is, there's my phone, that nobody else seems to know these things. Okay? This is my great uncle's folder from Shepherd Air Force Base. I often also show his Aberdeen Proving Grounds stuff. That's my little pink book, wherever it's hiding at the moment. And then I also go over his old notes with flux density notation with mercury and whatnot. Why? So that people understand that this has been going on for a really long time. So tell me how your phone works. When you click a button and you send an email, you don't see the email leave the phone. It's a wireless, invisible signal, just like your body. It's a body part. So when I worked at UW Whitewater, for my job, I found IBM software that they alleged was also used way back when Fauci and them wanted to get their shit off the ground for attacking the human immune system. Well, if you don't know that the human immune system is 80% your biofields, you called it the aura, you called it stupid. Yeah, I know. That's because 6,000 years of human telemetry, chiropractic, and the rest of it for your circulatory system just magically disappeared. Nobody has any idea what's going on. That was 6,000 years of the human circulatory system. You call it chakras. Yeah, they call it aim and fire. 150 years ago, Aleister Crowley and people, yeah, nothing's real except what you can see. There is no biofield. There's no cymatics, there's no radionics, there's no plasmonics. There's nothing except what you can see. Well, that's a body part that's responsible for 80% of our immune system. How do we know for sure? The definition at Children's Hospital, the organs and tissues that comprise the immune system, the thymus, the bone marrow, the lymphatic, your vessels, your spleen, and your skin. And so I'm like, yeah, the human biofield being watched by Project Salus. So the human biofield is the aura, is your W band, 802.15.6. Department of Defense Directive 3000.09, everything is autonomous. And you have an MQ-9 Reaper drone attached to your skin and bone. That's a big bird for those of you that know. She's huge. And so for me, I'm like, why in the hell do we need something that big? Well, for those of you in radio frequency, yet again, that don't understand that we're playing around with the particulate in the atmosphere and perturbating the human biofield with the Doppler. Okay? And we're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about geoengineering and weather control, and all these systems work together. When I log into your body, I'm looking at multiple manifolds, torus manifolds, and then I'm using mathematics to log into your cell structure with something called biophysics. Opto-array, electronic, photonic, moving your cells around with pressure, temperature, and physics, physical, biophysics change. Not, oh gee, I'm waving my magic wand. No, I'm logging into your body with radio frequency directly. This is how AI precision healthcare is offered. And I'm going to show you the bigger sign here in a minute. Step 1. Since 2005, any little nerd who could code in Zigbee and Bluetooth for light switches since 2005 is working with these biosensors, K-hop nearest neighbor routing, dynamic channel allocation, thermodynamic routing, right there. You can go look it up. Open shortest path first, body to body. How did I find it? Cybersecurity for the new digital ID and the 6G low personal area network. Machine to machine, no human can crack it or de-encrypt it or encrypt it. And it's ad hoc, vehicular ad hoc or whatever. And then the body is what sends the signal. Now, the moment that I found this mathematically by the metrics, I had a shit fit because I'm like, how in the hell are you using the human body for that? What are you doing? If you're doing that, you're using the aura. And of course, you can imagine, as a natural telepath, having been electronically tortured lifelong for metrics, I'm like, what the fuck is this? You told me, not y'all, but family, professionals, people, oh, energy work is bullshit, the aura's not real, only believe in what you can see, we're going to fix people's health. Well, I was told I had pseudotumor cerebri. Anybody who got an autoimmune disorder out there? You ever wondered why they can't fix it? Okay, maybe I should get that other sign back here for a second. Where's your immune system? 80% of your immune system is in that field. Am I able to electronically log into you and change out the cellular homeostasis of your electrical cell structure? And anybody who knows anything about biology, do you shit ham sandwiches? When you go eat your lunch, after you're done eating your lunch, do you shit it out in the same format? No. And why is that? Because we're biochemical beings and we have electricity in our cells. Yeah. But if I hit you with the signal and I decouple your ass from your circadian rhythms by using the ratio, the golden ratio, to decouple, uncouple the cellular state. Now, where did I get this from? Tufts University, Dr. Michael Levin. Life extension, synthetic biology, immortality research. It's called regenerative medicine, biomedical tissue engineering, wireless tissue engineering. For that, we have to disassociate your electrical fields, plural. This is called the biofield at the National Institute of Health. In the quantum market share, it's called the quantum field. In morphogenesis, you heard me, synthetic biology, morphogenesis, it's called the morphogenetic field. And why? Because it's still all the same damn thing. Your cells at every level exchanging data in your lymphatic system, your tissues. And now they're hacking into that, changing it so that they can get transhumanism, synthetic biology, life extension. Where the fuck is everyone else? Let me show you. It's not real. Why are they doing that? If they're going to work and they're working on it, why are they telling you it's not real? Well, I'm going to show you. It's very simple. I went ahead because I was so angry, and when I get mad, I do research, and then I force myself to take a breath, go outside with the bow staff if I'm really pissed off, and come back to Zen. Self-control. Make a list. And I'm like, okay, wait. So if I go to work for Command and Control C4ISR, CyberNet, NIBRNet, back into the NSA, DNA steganography with the NSA, and we watch every synaptic exchange at 5,100 bits and log it with the NSA PRISM program. That's what Assange, Snowden, and all of them were talking about. That's why they killed Barnaby Jack, the ATM jackpotter. He was there at DEF CON to present that it was easier to hack a human body with a pacemaker or otherwise. You didn't need to have a pacemaker than it was a car. Dead. So with that in mind, I'm like, why can't we talk about this? So I went and found where you can talk about it, because even in the machine learning, you're not allowed to write the word biofield, which I found very weird, okay, because nobody reads that stuff. So then I found out that it is the following. Electronic, medical, police, warfare divisions, military, your Lockheed, Raytheon, all of them. Signal, advanced signals technology. It's everywhere as a job. In information, surveillance, and reconnaissance, the Internet of Behaviors, Bodies, Things, the Industrial Internet of Things, the Medical Body Area Network, all way back, 2005, 2015. It's all there. And I'm like, these are jobs? Oh, yeah. And then neural modulation, neural stimulation, Project Salus, watching everybody think in real time with CT2WS, cognitive warfare technology, EEG headset, ultrasound, modified ultrasound, all walking around on a headset. Then the Renius chipset embedded in their left hemisphere. And I'm like, where did all of this come from? Synthetic telepathy, been out there since 1995. So they needed a backbone. Just like back in the day when everybody was logging into email for the first time on dial-up, it would get crowded, people would have to wait forever and get kicked off. I fucking worked it, I would know. So my job was to upgrade them, to bring them out of dial-up and onto cable modems, for which I used a system called NMAPs on COM controllers with something called COM21 cable modems, which were different than the throwaway DOCSIS stuff in the big cities. Different markets, so different hardware, everything, different software. So I went ahead as I continued to make my little T-bar list, and I'm like, so let me get this straight. If I'm in radio frequency, if I'm in IT, I log into the body, make changes, and organize. If I'm anyone else in the world, I'm a fucking nut job. Give me drugs and make me sit still. And the only place you can really learn about the biofield is in the Bible, because Jesus used it to heal. And I mean, it's ions and electrons. It's your exchange with your environment. That's why everybody works with radar. We're told, get your nuts away from it because it'll overheat you and such. It's microwave. And then they also could feel the radar coming and going without looking at the screen. Yes, because you have an electrical body part involved. So then, as if all that wasn't enough, because I couldn't figure out how is this so obvious to me, but not everyone else, because I admit the body part. Now, enter in where I come from. I come from Black Projects. So I go back to my grandmother, who was a Rosicrucian in Chicago, has a bunch of depression glass. These are nanogels, or excuse me, nanolipids. And they would have them stand on a metal plate or whatever. Yeah. And that's your specialized concrete for human teleportation, like you heard out of the mouths of Sean Ryan and other people who he interviewed, the Marines and such, that found the photonic different mixtures of concrete, just like the Roman Colosseum specialized limestone. So this is also another reason why I'm like, oh my God, you guys have been doing this for 100 years plus. Radio frequency, industrial, scientific, and medical band. This is where we got our 2.4 terahertz from. And that's your targeted individuals and Havana syndrome as well. 2 radio frequency sinks, one over the heart, one over the bladder. Illegal as fuck, putting RFID chips in people since the 60s. With John von Neumann software and architecture. Why and how? So the first sign I ever did, I had to destroy because the Pentagon was so pissed at me. And I said, I know why you've done this, because you did it for wireless tissue engineering, which is what, what's his name is up there with Palpatine, also known as Klaus Schwab, talking about all the time. Okay? So, your body is 802.15.6. You're a wide body area network. We fly a drone with sensors, open system architecture, and modified open system approach. We can slap any hardware on the ass end of it. We can log into it with a web portal. We fly it over your home. Now, people who think that CERN, ITER, and Tokamak are demon portals are a bit confused. Big fucking magnet under your feet could be the baseboard carrier signal to your cable company or baseline satellite. And we create an electromagnetic field above your head and below your feet. Now, your biofield, your whole fucking body, is inside of 802.15.6. The biosensors are individually accessible with CISA MyTinyOS cybersecurity on 802.15.4. Your wireless sensor networks create radio frequency relays and anything that they need to perturbate cell structure on 802.15.5. And before you say, well, what the hell do they need all that for? Precision artificial intelligence, wireless healthcare. So we break out the internal organs and divide it up, and that's how we're able to make the genetic change if we want to with the CRISPR-Cas9 infusion, which I'll show in a sign here in a moment. Or we can just go ahead and terahertz to gigahertz, gigahertz to terahertz, and exchange out your cell structure. Oh, but they need to practice that. They already did. So what they did was they lied. So first you see a UFO, they radiate your body part known as the biofield. Then you start getting psychic abilities. They're called psionics. Telepathy, empathy, precognition, telekinetics, it's all natural in human bodies. Neurons. And neurons are not only in your brain, they are body-wide. Nobody knows any of that. You're not allowed to talk about any of that. So instead you're told you're a fucking nut job, take drugs, or else you can't talk to anybody who's normal. The Christians will scare the shit out of you, call you evil. The people that want to wear robes, bleed on the floor, and do stupid shit with the CIA, thinking that they're surfing the astroplane, they end up on the Cisco backplane. And you're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, they're pulling the neurons out of your body just a little bit at a time and loading them into a neuromorphic chipset. How do you think they got such incredible artificial intelligence in the first fucking place? It's your neurons, and they admit they need living neurons to do what they do. Now, this is where a bunch of people get fucked up with me, and they're like, oh, Sabrina, you're being a doom pillar, blah, blah, blah. There's no way they would pull our neurons out of our body, store them in a chipset, and then take our skin and bone, do what they wanted to with it, lock us underground, and then when we think we're being born, they're putting us back into another body somewhere. And everyone goes, ah! And I'm like, listen, the dimension that we live in, they lied to you about how it works with material physics. You think people are going to burn in fire and brimstone, and this is the part of things you can take it or leave it. But what I saw was that people go into a neuromorphic chipset. It's a plasmonic architecture underground. And that makes sense to me because that's one of the reasons so many people throw in with this system that recycles itself. It's not some big secret. These are jobs. So the wireless body area network, you're sitting there, they fly over, you get radiated, you start having psionic abilities, and they continue to perturbate your biofield. They watch your dreams, they record your dreams, and they record everything you're thinking in real time to databases that are using the ubiquitous and the ambient air molecules all around you. Again, well-minded, or I should say healthy people, they're like, that's way too much micromanagement. Yeah, but if you didn't have a body, and you had no way to have a body, and you're running the world and you're obsessed with control, okay? The next thing is if you get a little too radiated and your bionomics, your bioinformatics fall out of place or you fall into a liminal space, we can then morph you again with genomics and morphology, transhumanism full on, and turn you into Bigfoot and Wolfman and whatever else. And you can be bilocated. And there's 4D skiffs that they can walk into to be secure from bioweapons. Now, that all sounds nuts. I know. Everybody's like, no, 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 the aliens are here. And I said, no, we make the aliens.
Yep.
And everybody continued to freak out on me. And I'm like, listen, the HemiSync thing, the CIA gateway process, that was you people feeding the databases. You're bleeding over the masters for DNA synchronicity and DNA sequence matching. That's your global information grid for your digital twin. And your string theory is bullshit. But we do have a 4D. There's no multiverse. There's just the Nephilim and everybody else. So, oh, you think that because you're a Christian. No, I think that because that's what I saw with nature spirits and every other type of creature you can possibly imagine. And it was still the same jack-offs who were kidnapping people and doing terrible things. So, for me, I'm like, how is it that you're not telling anybody that you've got their ass on the cloud with 80% of their immune system locked down? Transcranial magnetic stimulation was what they were doing to me, but they told me I had pseudotumor cerebri. Back in the 90s, they said when you could feel the subtle electrocution, there was no such thing back then as electrosensitive because they didn't tell anybody they were subtly electrocuting people. They said, no, you have fibromyalgia, you're just a wuss to pain. No, you don't. You have pseudotumor cerebri, fake brain tumor. Your brain is acting like it has a tumor, but we don't know why. Well, because you're transcranially magnetically stimulating my brain to swell it and deswell it for metrics testing for non-invasive N3 with DARPA. That's fucking why. And I have a seraphim, and I was removed from the N3 process, which is MPD and DID. You just put an EEG overlay of personality, just a nanolobotomy, a few neurons at a time, and then we can induce your neurons into an alpha state. When we do that, it causes schizophrenia, but only in certain neural networks. And we use that back in the day in the 80s and 90s to check parity for neuron, and brain, brain. Now those products and services are commercial. They are available from the Artificial Intelligence Symposium that you can still go read the transcripts for from September 2020. And that's synthetic telepathy and synchron and brain-to-brain interface, which is, in my opinion, why they needed to hurry up and get the newest backbone deployed, because not enough people knew, of course, because it's their personal private system of walking circles around all the good people who are doing their jobs legally. And none of this has legal oversight. All of it is black projects hidden. So that's why I keep getting pissed at people who claim they're going to sue people. I'm like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You either don't know what you're talking about or you're purposely swindling people out of good money because you're not suing anybody. I'm looking for my synthetic biology site. Anyways, so after having all your autoimmune disorders that never go away, I wanted to know how the fuck did they do this? Well, back in the day with all these companies that they have with IBM, Fairlongin, and Underground, they just kept going to work. Nobody said a fucking word. Nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. The quantum systems with the IEEE and all that are on. In 2019, well, come on, let's go. Turn on the synchron and the brain-to-brain interface on the back end on a bigger system. What do I mean? Quantum computing, we gave the signature reduction force for people in the white vans a job and a pension. I have longer videos to prove that out. Local logistics started hybridizing themselves with transhumanism. In the 90s, you had non-invasive N3, library access, NIST, NASA, and brain-to-brain web portals. 1995 in Congress. You think they knew? Then in 802.15.4 becomes commercial to all the little nerds in 2005. In 2012, Carrie Madej and group, they all get together and get told we're doing this. We're going to be deploying in a few years, so get ready. Shut your fucking mouth about anything related to the biofield, just like they took away all of Dr. Robert Young's work in the last 3 years. And then in 2014, brain-to-brain interface became commercially available. Now, with all that additional traffic, now between themselves and all the different elites and people that have now thrown in to be transhuman and take over the world, do you think they needed a bigger backbone? COVID has its own data center. They need to make sure that they can change out everybody on a button press remotely. That way there's no worrying about you fighting them or getting in their way. Would you believe that's what's written inside the Pentagon directive? Because it is. They're not worried about you being able to pull your gun. They're only worried about unintended engagement and loss of control of their drones. There was no, interestingly, the Department of Defense Directive 3009 does not refer to positive outcomes as a design criterion. Department of Defense Directive 3009 defines the goal of autonomous systems to avoid negative outcomes, unintended engagement, or experience a loss of control. 2012 for implementation on the 8th of May 2017. and the wide body area network since 1995, and your biosensors since 2005, means nobody got a choice. We have human body or human bonding communication on the RF. Everyone is now a cyborg with soft robotics deployed with the biosensors that are DNA analyte derivative made out of your tissue, talking to satellites on position navigation and timing, NTS-3 accessible, no GPS needed, inside of your body. Your body is the network, your body is the node, your DNA is propagating the signal, no tower required. And that's the same system that I was born to in 1979 that they already had, because Grandmother Rosicrucian and everybody else have been working on this for a couple hundred years. With databases and underground computers, how do you make Greek fire? Right. So, for me, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Metamaterials? And everybody goes, what's a metamaterial? And I said, well, it's not going to be enough to get it in you with radio frequency due to the line of sight problems and all the other problems that we have with electromagnetic waves and beam forming. And it wasn't enough to have your MAC ID under control with the physical stuff. No. We, for 45 grand a year, sell the ability to log into you, to your loved ones, so that they can do an EEG overlay and they overwrite your brain tissue. Oh, you're just don't with the crazy thing, because people don't really do that to me anymore.
Okay, everybody, so that's a little bit of that video. There's probably about 10 more minutes of it to go, but I will post a link in the description section because it is a YouTube video, so YouTube shouldn't have a problem with this. But I hope you find this really interesting. I know I did. And I want to thank everybody for subscribing and all the wonderful comments I received and the personal emails. I received an email from a subscriber who validated that he also received bizarre text messages that I received from my stepfather. My stepfather does not know how to text message. He's 88 years old. And through the last couple of months that I had been trying to contact him, I received a bizarre text message from him at the end of August. The text message actually disappeared from my phone. The only thing that's there is my response to it. So, and the text message was, "I'm in a meeting, I'll call you back." So, let me go to my email here. So, this individual says that, they listened to my video about the text message about being in a meeting. He said the same thing happened to him back in 2019. I won't include any of the details. Back in 2019, he took a screenshot of it, and he said the same thing, that the person he's referring to does not work and was not in a meeting. It wasn't even him. They do this through VoIP, that's voice over the internet. And then he used an example like, that person who likes to stalk the targeted people on YouTube. It is called call spoofing. He said they probably have my phone moved under a business account and control everything through that interface. Either that or they have a copy of your SIM card, that they cloned it. Now, I find that really interesting because, like you, I save a lot of information in my phone and the directory and the contacts. And when I include a contact, I try best to include a physical address, the email address, and the phone number, not just the actual name of the contact. So during this week, I was looking for a contact that I absolutely knew I included. I included all of the information. And when I went to the contact was there, but all the information I typed into it, the phone number, my notes, the physical mailing address, were all gone. It's not the first time it's happened that somebody has gone into my phone and erased important information. So I received it called ipaddress.com. Findmyipaddress.com. I haven't done it yet. It's like when you're using your cell phone service, not the Wi-Fi, and see where the cell phone service is coming from. You can see where the phone is listed, who it is registered to. And let me see what else he's saying here. And he said, you mentioned in today's video that your phone call won't go through to somebody you were calling. Yes, my phone won't go through to my stepfather. And he has commented to me that he's tried to call me, you know, I guess within the last 2 months before he entered the hospital and the nursing home. He tried to call me, and he received an auto recording that the number he was calling moved. I kid you not. He said he called a couple of times, and each time he was told that I moved. There was no way for him to contact me either. So somebody has sabotaged the connection, the phone connection between me and my stepfather, an 88-year-old man. And given what has transpired with the family stealing all of my mother's belongings and getting rid of the cat, you can see how sinister to sabotage a connection between two people is. How harmful it is. It could be considered murder. It's absolute sabotage. That somebody has entered my phone and somebody else's phone and your phone and sabotage the effort for you to contact each other, setting up people to program your phone, steal your SIM card, create another account and add your phone, a clone of your phone in there, and they could remote into your phone at any time and do whatever they damn please. Erase a contact, erase part of your contact, send a text message, block a call. Unbelievable. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for your comments. One person said to sue the hell out of them. You know, you do have to pick your battles, folks. I'm not in the same state. If I were in the same state or back in New Jersey, none of this would have happened. I would have visited there multiple times already. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate. And I'm very upset that the attorney that drafted my mother's will and her partner's will after my mother died did not send a letter or something stipulating that the contents of the apartment, you know, were bestowed to me by my mother, and that, you know, her partner succeeded my mother, which was not supposed to be. My mother was perfectly healthy and she was killed. And my mother drafted her will knowing that she was not going to be the first to go. And technically, literally, all of it, she should not have been. Her partner was not, he's not a healthy man. Was not nearly as healthy as my mom. And they're 5 years apart. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the information from Dr. Eric Karlstrom and Sabrina Wallace. Sabrina Wallace can be found on Odyssey under Synergy. I don't know how she pronounces it. P-S-I-N-E-G-Y. So I'm going to sign off for now. Please hit the thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and thank you everybody again. I hope everybody's having a good night, and I will talk to you tomorrow.